That's in Act 3. So this is like a weird scene where, like, he's talking to Lubov, who's the old lady who owns the estate, and he's interested in her daughter. He's courting, or well, he's not courting her daughter. He has a crush on her daughter, but he's not doing anything about it. And she basically tells him, like, you're just fucking around in school all the time and you don't do anything. Like, you can't date my daughter because you're a loser. And he gets kind of snippy with her, and then she, like, is really mean to him, and he basically runs off crying, and then he falls down the stairs. It's a bizarre scene. It's very strange. So part of, like, my job as the director is to, like, try to make sense of this, like, to make this not seem really weird or random or out of nowhere. I mean, that's the challenge of, I talk about, like, the upside of putting on somebody else's work is, like, you get to dodge responsibility for the writing, but you still have to, in the end, if you're making a game or directing a play, you're responsible for people having a good time, because the audience doesn't give a shit about, like, literature. They just want to watch something fun. So you have to make it somehow coherent. So what's been going on is he's been making fun of Varya, who is, in this version, the girl he's interested in. I say in this version because in the full play there's actually 2 daughters, but I merged them into one in this one because I can't afford to hire a full cast of 14 people. He's making fun of her, and so her mom is like, hey, stop that. And so this is him being like, no, it's fine, I could keep making fun of her.
Summer. She's afraid I'm going to ask her out.
Right, did I cut that better?
Summer.
Oh, let me just re-export that. Fuck. Ah, fuck, now I have to find it. Well, fortunately I labeled things. Okay. Clearly did not cut it properly. Oh, there it is. Yep, I can see right there what I did. Okay. Oh, wait, did this shit get shifted over? Fucking... What's that? Fuck. Oh, shit. Oh, shit. I think all my labels got shifted over. That means they're all going to be fucked up. Well, now we can see me fix the fucked up labels. How did that happen?
All summer.
They're all fucked
She's
up.
Afraid I'm going to...
Yeah, okay. How are we going to fix it then? All right, then. You know what? I think I know what happened. I think I probably cut something with this part highlighted without highlighting. Well, it had to have happened earlier than that because these are all shifted incorrectly. So I need to find when that happened. Well, that seems to be correct. So... Okay, so it gets fucked up somewhere around here. Because I was cutting bits out. No, I'm just going to keep going back until I see how it got fucked up. Well, there's other ways to fix it, but... Because actually, I was cutting the second half of this before the first half. Because, sometimes, like, you look at a lot of work to do, because this whole file is, like, 2 hours long, and you, like, for whatever reason, it makes it seem like less work if you start in the middle of it. So that's what I was doing, and I clearly, like, went in and fucked up my labels. Nope. So I'll probably save a copy of this. Okay. Okay, there we go. So I've undone the fucking up of it. So just re-export all this. And, okay. Yeah, just re-export. Oh, well, yeah, that works. Middle out? What? I don't know what that means. I don't know how to audio. If you shout in audio terms at me, I don't know what they are. Oh, wait. Blah, blah, blah. Well, I don't need these again. I already sorted them. Unfuckulate. That's beautiful. I'm going to work that in my vocabulary from now on. I'm surprised you didn't protest about that being open. Well, let's see if it's.
She's been mentioning Hermes
There we go.
to me all summer. She's afraid I'm going to ask her out, as if I'd ever give...
Okay, cool. Yay! I unfucked it. So I'm just gonna... What I'm gonna do is... this is like 1.2 gigabytes of audio, and I'm already running out of disk space. It's bad. I'm constantly fighting to regain disk space. I've been at like 50 gigabytes for like the last year. So I just keep going and deleting things. I just need to get a new SSD, I think. Alright, so let's just save it. And then I'll go into the other one later and delete the second half so my disk size doesn't go crazy. Okay. Cool. Now we can pick out takes. I'm actually not looking at this yet because I actually have this line from a different session because in that scene there were 3 characters. So I have that line. I'll compare them later. Oy. Sorry, I'm tired. Okay. And my script pulled up.
She's been mentioning Hermes to me all summer. She's afraid I'm going to ask her out, as if I'd ever given her a reason to believe I'd stoop to such vulgarity. I am above love. She's been mentioning Hermes to me all summer. She's afraid I'm going to ask her out. Oh, as if I'd ever given her a reason to believe I'd stoop to such vulgarity. I am above love. She's been mentioning Hermes to me all summer. She's afraid I'm going to ask her out. As if I'd ever given her a reason to believe I'd stoop to such vulgarity. I am above love. She's been mentioning Hermes to me all summer. She's afraid I'm going to ask her out, as if I'd ever given her a reason to believe I'd stoop to such vulgarity. I am above love.
Oh, it's definitely the last one. Yes. It's fun because I've heard all these before because I was directing the session 2 nights ago. Yeah, 2 nights ago. That's too funny. I'm still laughing at it. That's so funny. Oh, man. That's so fun. That's so fun. Oh, I love that. Okay. I hope you all heard like how you did that like voice going really high up when he was really like perturbed, and then bring it back down for the you may have heard that he did the final "I'm above love" differently in the last 2 from the first 2. That's because between then I gave the direction make that like a big pompous declaration of his moral values. Especially because she teases him about that later, so it needs to be said such a way that's believable that she would remember it. That was one of the audition lines, although it was slightly different in the audition because I was still trying to figure out how I would merge the 2 girls. But I'll let y'all listen to it because when he auditioned, he gave me 2 takes. One was with a snooty British accent, and one was with an American accent, and that was really funny too. Let me see. Let me pull that up. Oh, it was so funny. Let me find that here. This is his audition.
I'm not 30. Unspeakable.
Blah, blah. Is it?
She's been bugging me about finding a girlfriend all summer. As if I'd ever given her a reason to believe I'd stoop to such vulgarity. I am above love. On every sentiments already. Finding bugging me about already. Oh, she's been bugging me about finding a girlfriend all summer. As if I'd ever given her a reason to believe I'd stoop to such vulgarity. I am above love.
It's like Niles from Frasier. That was really funny. But I ultimately went with him doing his natural British accent because I didn't want him to be like burdened with having to do like an unnatural accent to him through the whole play. But that was, he did like a perfect Niles. It was good. Also, there's something really funny to be about British people doing American accents. That's too funny. Anyway. Yeah, okay, I picked that up. Cool. Oh, did I already put those in? Yeah. I think I know it's good if it keeps making me laugh even though I've already heard it. So she tells him, blah, blah, blah. You need to graduate and get a job. And then she tells him, like, stop looking like shit all the time.
Vanity hasn't the least influence over me. Vanity hasn't the least influence over me. Vanity hasn't the least influence on me. Vanity hasn't the least influence on me.
I probably need to edit them a bit more because I think I cut them off in the middle of like breaths or something, but that can be easily done later. I think I actually liked one of the earlier ones better.
Vanity hasn't the least influence over me. Vanity hasn't the least influence on me. Vanity hasn't the least influence on me.
Yeah, I actually like the second one better because
Vanity hasn't the least influence over me.
For the least, like how he kind of draws that out. That's really funny. Yeah.
Vanity hasn't the least.
Stop it. Okay. Moving right along. Okay.
Well, what difference does it make if the estate was sold today or some other day? It's going to be sold regardless. There's no turning back now. Calm down and stop lying to yourself. Try facing the truth for a change. What difference does it make if the estate was sold today or some other day? It's going to be sold regardless. There's no turning back now. Calm down and stop lying to yourself. Try facing the truth for a change. What difference does it make if the estate was sold today or some other day? It's going to be sold regardless. There's no turning back now. Calm down and stop lying to yourself. Try facing the truth for a change. What difference does it make if the estate was sold today or some other day? It's going to be sold regardless. There's no turning back now. Calm down and stop lying to yourself. Try facing the truth for a change. Well, what difference does it make if the estate was sold today or some other day? It's going to be sold regardless. There's no turning back now. Calm down and stop lying to yourself. Try facing the truth for a change.
They were all quite similar. Although there were some differences I detected. Like, I think by the time we got to, like, the last three, he changed the way he was delivering the final part, calm down and stop lying to yourself, where it was more like he was reacting authentically. Hi, who are you? I don't know who you are, but hi, thanks for peeking in. It was more like he was reacting authentically off of something he was seeing his scene partner doing, which generally makes me favor it. But Oh, hi! Thanks for joining us. This is a very unusual dev stream because I'm not doing any programming. I'm just, like, listening to people talking. And I'm talking a lot. Too much, probably. So, because I've been directing this like a play, I've been very focused on authenticity to the moment. So, oh, really? I've been embarrassed this whole time because I've just been like blathering about bullshit. And I assume this is very boring. I'm just talking about how I do things. But anyway, probably going to listen to them all again. And when a lot of them are similar and I can't immediately identify like 2 or 3 favorites, the other way of doing it is just elimination of like, I thought, well, I definitely don't want that one. And usually pare it down that way.
Well, what difference does it make if the estate was sold today or some other day? It's going to be sold regardless. There's no turning back now. Calm down and stop lying to yourself. Try facing the truth for a change.
So at this point, he's, well, you know, when I say like he feels this way, it's not necessarily like correct because it's a play and he never says like how he feels. So it's all up to interpretation. But the important thing as a director is to like keep a consistent idea in your head of what, you know, in the reality of your play, what is the truth, you know, what is correct. So anyway, the way I, you know, plan to direct this is he's getting irritated at this point because she's just said like, first of all, I know you have a crush on my daughter. Second of all, you can't marry her because you're still in school. And third of all, you look like shit. It's basically, she didn't say it like that, but that's basically what she said. So I decided like he should probably be getting a bit like, you know, irritated at this point. So I did like how I do recall like in the first 2 or 3, he has that irritation, and I think he might have lost that in the last few, but I think he had a more authentic reaction in the last few. So we will, yeah, it's so fun to have voice acting. And directing's my favorite thing. Like if I could like make a living as a director, I probably wouldn't make games anymore. I just direct people because that's what I like. I kind of like got into game dev because I moved, well, when I was really into theater, when you do theater, you get like established in a city and like it is in part who you know and like doing your time and working your way up. And so when I had to move to Austin, I realized like there's no way I'm going to like work my way back up in the Austin theater scene because there are people who like, you know, have been in Austin doing theater since they're undergraduate and like are super deeply like enmeshed in it. And I can't like, if I wanted to do it, I couldn't have a full-time job. I basically have to like dedicate my life to trying to work my ranks up in theater. And it's like, you know, it's like, do you want to really risk it all and do that? And I decided not to. So I was actually like really upset and bitter for a long time. My first few years after moving back to the States that I wasn't doing theater anymore. So I kind of like latched really hard onto game dev when I started in 2015 because it let me like put on plays again in a way that I couldn't like in real life. So I like this shit. So this is actually, I was getting really, I was actually encouraged to do The Cherry Orchard by Matt, who y'all know is the voice of Valentine, because we're friends. And I was directing him in a session. You could tell like I was kind of like really frazzled and off and stressed. So he encouraged me to take a break from Red Star to do something I wanted to do. And I mentioned like I've always wanted to direct The Cherry Orchard. Yeah, maybe. Like, I mean, I've got my portfolio of things I've directed I could put to, but it's been a dream for over 10 years to direct The Cherry Orchard because that's sort of like a feather to put in your cap as a director is if you've directed it because it's notoriously like difficult. And he said, well, so also what got me going is I'd actually been working on the adaptation, like the script on and off since last October as part of that, like, you know, pipe dream, but I'd never like thought I'd finish it because it's like, even if I finish it, I can't put it on. So he said, well, why don't you put it on? And I said, well, I can't because I can't afford to pay market rate for the voiceover, and it would not be like a good idea anyway because this isn't going to sell. Like I'm going to sell it, but nobody's going to buy it because who gives a shit about a 116-year-old play? But he said, well, maybe the people who like know you and like you will be willing to accept like below market rate because you're not really trying to make a profit on it. So I feel bad saying it. Yeah, I didn't pay a whole lot for this, but I got people were really excited to try out because among theater nerds, the Cherry Orchard is legendary. And so it's like a really good thing to have on your resume to have been in. But you know, everybody was on the same page. I'm not exploiting anybody. And if for whatever reason this actually makes a profit, I'll probably like go back and like make them whole. I'll pay them so that it was market rate. Because basically for this, I paid $2 a line. It's not like terrible, but it's like not great either. I usually pay either $3 a line or $150 an hour. But yeah, for this I paid $2 a line. But they agreed to they do that going in. I didn't, you know. Well, actually, when I had the casting call, I did have some people who were friends of mine, and they're like, "I love you, but I'm not auditioning for that because the pay's too low." I'm like, "I respect that. I respect that." Yeah, pay on Red Star is much higher than for Cherry Orchard, but like I expect Red Star to like maybe sell. I don't expect this to sell. This is a labor of love because I'm literally putting this on because I wanted to direct the Cherry Orchard. Anyway, that was a rambling digression. Oh yeah, we were picking out the takes. Oh, so that one was very firm and bringing the irritation in. I think this one was similar.
What difference does it make if the estate was sold today or some other day? It's going to be sold regardless. There's no turning back now. Calm down and stop lying to yourself. Try facing the truth for a change. What difference does it make if the estate was sold today or some other day? It's going to be sold regardless. There's no turning back now. Calm down and stop lying to yourself. Try facing the truth for a change. What difference?
So that one was like lower energy and didn't have yeah, I didn't like 44 because it just was less energy. It didn't maintain the things that I liked, so I can eliminate that one.
What difference does it make if the estate was sold today or some other day? It's going to be sold regardless. There's no turning back now. Calm down and stop lying to yourself. Try facing the truth for a change. Well, what difference does it make if the estate was sold today or some other day? It's going to be sold regardless. There's no turning back now. Calm down and stop lying to yourself. Try facing the truth for a change.
So in the last two, when he says, you know, calm down and stop lying to yourself, it sounds like he's genuinely trying to get Lyubov to like recognize that she's stuck in the past and to improve. I've just realized that I don't want that. I want him to be saying that because he's kind of like mad and being bitchy. I think that's what I want. Because he's not the mature one. He's the one who needs to be taught a lesson. So it's kind of interesting because I think there's some more like subtle acting choices in the last two, but I am probably not going to pick them. So it's, you know, that's kind of the curious thing about, you know, picking takes is you have to, well, it's about directing in general is, you know, the actor's job is to focus on one character and bring that one character to life. And that's a very important responsibility and very difficult in itself. But the director's job is to see the whole picture and make it all fit together. So I think it might be between these two. I think I'm going to go with 34, but I'll listen to both again to be sure.
Well, what difference does it make if the estate was sold today or some other day? It's going to be sold regardless. There's no turning back now. Calm down and stop lying to yourself. Try facing the truth for a change. What difference does it make if the estate was sold today or some other day? It's going to be sold regardless. There's no turning back now. Calm down and stop lying to yourself. Try facing the truth for a change.
I'm definitely going to go with 34 because I could hear more of like the hurt at the start of it because he's hurt because he just told her, like she just told him he can't marry her daughter and he looks like shit. Okay, oops. Yeah, it's really amazing to have like I guess to the player, a lot of players can take it or leave it, but as a creator, it's so motivating to have voiceover. It just makes it makes making the game so much more real. And I guess what's also kind of nice about it is it's one of the cheapest collaborators you can get on a game. Sounds weird, but bear with me. If you're a solo dev and you're making a game by yourself, there's like, nobody you can really talk to about the game. As in like talk with your voice out loud. So if you have like actors in and you direct them, then you are obviously going to be talking to them, like, with your voice over the phone, or over Discord. And something about that is like really cathartic. Especially because like in my case, like my mom doesn't understand video games and she doesn't really understand like what I'm interested in or passionate about. So I've never been able to like talk to her about any project I've worked on. So it's kind of lonely. So it's kind of nice to have voice actors in where like their job is to like talk to you about the video game. That's almost the best benefit. And then like actually getting audio from them is a side benefit. But anyway, although it's kind of sad, sometimes you get somebody in who like, they don't really give a shit about your project and it's sort of, like, shut up and give me my paycheck. That always kind of hurts your soul, but you really can't get mad because like they're, it would be wrong to like, you are still in sort of an employer, relationship with them. So it would be like gross or fucked up if there actually was this expectation that they had to like your thing. Cause it's like, if I'm working in an office, I think it's really gross if the company like demands that I'm passionate about my job. So there's sort of this queasy relationship with like talent who like obviously don't really like your thing, but they will be professional and do it for the paycheck and then fuck off. But most of the time when I've worked with people, they've like been really enthusiastic and that really feels good. And that's being cynical here. That's actually, if you are a voice actor, that's a very good decision because those are people like that I want to hire again. And sometimes if I've had some like side projects, little things where I need like just a few lines. It's not worth having like an audition for. So I'll go and I'll like contact a friend of mine who's a voice actor that I've worked with before. And I'll be like, hey, like, you want to do these like 5 lines? So like, I'll pay them for it. So, they get that little bit of work just cause it's like, oh, they're fun to work with. Let's like, knock these out in a half hour. So, and yeah, if you direct a lot, often they become like your actual real friends, through nothing cynical. It's like, if you hang out with somebody enough, they might become your friend. You spend enough hours with somebody, they might become your friend. Anyway, so voice acting is fun. Cause like, I say they're the cheapest cause like who else would you hire that you could like talk to at length about your game? Like another developer? That's very expensive. Whew. There's no way I could afford to have another developer on any of my projects. Because it's like not even that voice acting is cheap. It's just voice acting is much cheaper than like a developer. Okay. Alt. Yeah. So blah, blah, blah. And she says, what a truth, blah, blah, blah. Basically, you're being an asshole. I'm right to be upset because my son drowned here and you're 27 and still a schoolboy. So that's the lead into the next line. Wait, I've got this other right here.
What's wrong with that? Or what's wrong with that? What's wrong with that? What's wrong with that? What's wrong with that?
So this is fun because we've got a few different deliveries here. Eco, you were correct. Making a video game is a very bad idea. Can't recommend it. No, don't. Wrong. So let's see. I think we could probably sort these into or categorize these in a few different deliveries. So then we have to decide which one is better for like the through line I'm trying to tell.
What's wrong with that? Or what's wrong with that? What's wrong with that? What's wrong with that? What's wrong with that?
So basically, we've got roughly 2 kinds of deliveries here. One is, being very firm, like a big concept in theater is like status plays. So this is in a way a status play of, they're both trying to show that they're the one who's right and mature. So it's sort of a seesaw of power. And a well-written scene allows there to be kind of a give and take, because it's kind of boring if one person's just dominating constantly. And that also comes down to direction too, because you really have to shape things with sort of peaks and troughs. Because if something is like 100% intense all the time, then it's actually paradoxically boring. And of course, if something's like, boring all the time, it's boring. So actually the most interesting things like interesting, then a little boring, and then interesting, and then, but usually the overall trend being to get more and more interesting until the most interesting thing, in which, and when, in my opinion as a writer, after the most interesting thing happens, you should end the scene. Because then, like, why are you continuing the scene if the most interesting thing has already happened? You know what I'm saying? So the question then becomes, when he says, what's wrong with that? Where is he in this status battle? Because if he answers with a very firm, what's wrong with that? Then he's actually matching her in status. But if he kind of shrinks back, what's wrong with that? Then he's kind of losing a bit. So she ends up like laying into him after this, and he kind of has like a mental breakdown. I think I can see a compelling argument for both in context of, do I want to have him hold strong until he kind of falls apart suddenly, or do I want to kind of show he's kind of like losing and losing until he really does have his breakdown? I'm leaning more towards the latter, because I kind of get the impression that when she really starts laying into him, she's emboldened by his being affected, because this character, is very academic and stuffy and snobby. So I think she'd probably be like, oh, I'm finally getting under his skin. So I'm probably going to go with the more defensive takes here. So I think those are those last three. So let's listen to those again.
What's wrong with that? What's wrong with that? What's wrong with that?
So I liked 49, although I want to listen to the other ones because I realized these two kind of sound almost a bit low energy.
What's wrong with that? Or what's wrong with that? What's wrong with that?
Okay, so I'm actually between 35 and 49, which are two very different takes.
Or what's wrong with that? What's wrong with that?
I might actually want to listen to Karen's take and pick the one that sounds the most natural coming off of what she said. So let's see here.
My son drowned here. You're 27 and still a schoolboy.
Oh shit, I'm gonna have to have her do that again. That has a lot of room noise in it. But anyway.
My 7 boy. A schoolboy.
What's wrong with that? Or what's wrong with that?
Okay, I think 49 sounds better. Oh shit, she's got a lot of room noise in that. It's not good. That means, oh shit. Oh, that means all of the stuff from that. This is like the first time I've listened to it with headphones on, because I just kind of like cut her stuff real quick. Fuck. Oh my goodness. Oh man, that's gonna be a pain in the ass. I bet everything from that session has room noise, so I'm probably going to have to send her the takes that I like the best and tell her, like, can you please do this again, but broadcast quality. It's very annoying. Ooh, because, when you work with contractors, they have varying setups. And some of them, well, the other issue, poor Karen, I don't mean to like put her on the spot. It's that she's hard of hearing. I cast an authentic old lady as the old lady. So I can't be too hard on her because it's possible that because because she's given me like clean recordings before that there might have been like a slight issue in like with a cable or something. And she couldn't hear it because she is hard of hearing. which is kind of tragic because she's been a voice actress for a long time, and to start losing her hearing must be terrifying. So, oh dear, it's frustrating. But anyway, I think that
What's wrong with that?
I think coming off of how she did it, I like that one better. Oh boy. Okay, so it's 49. Okay, what's wrong with that? So then Lubov starts like laying into him and calling him a bunch of things and telling him like, you're not above love. You've never loved anyone but yourself, and other nasty things. And this is when he starts having like a mental breakdown.
What is she saying? What is she saying? What is she saying? What is she saying?
Okay, so the last two are nearly identical, but I was directing him like, I want to hear more distress. Like, I want to hear like this is actually really getting under his skin. So I want at least one of the last two. So let's listen to the last two again.
What is she saying? What is she saying?
Yeah, I think 54 has a bit more of that vulnerability. And don't worry about like the breaths or whatever, because I'll edit those out later. The only thing to pay attention to is the performance. Yeah, I think because it has a bit more vulnerability to it, and that's what I'm looking for here. Especially because this character is super pompous, like 99% of the time, so it'll be much more effective to like suddenly show the audience a different side of this character. Oh, wait, did I miss this one?
What is she saying?
Oh, did we hear that one? I might not have grabbed it because I had a different... Okay, so it's between 54. Let's see if we...
What is she saying?
Oh, wait, what? I said 25. Oh, wait.
What is she saying? What is she saying?
Wait. Did I already move 54? Am I going crazy? Oh, yeah, I'd already moved it. Okay, that's why.
What is she saying?
No, I still like 54 better. Okay.
This is awful. What is she saying? It's awful. I don't have to take this. I'm leaving. This is awful. What is she saying? It's awful. I don't have to take this. I'm leaving. This is awful. What is she saying? It's awful. I don't have to take this. I'm leaving. This is awful. What is she saying? It's awful. I don't have to take this. I'm leaving. This is awful. What is she saying? It's awful. I don't have to stand this. I'm leaving.
I think I'm between the last two, but okay, I may need to listen to 37 again because for here, I really want us to hear him being very vulnerable in the first part before because when he says like, I don't have to take this, I'm leaving, he's saying it to her. So it should be like kind of back to him trying to be posturing. But I want us to hear that she really got under his skin because it's, we don't hear this side of him at any other point. So let's see. So we'll eliminate 26 and 51. And you may have noticed in one of those he says, I don't have to stand this instead of I don't have to take this. That's not a problem. Like if the line still comes across with the meaning and the actor ad-libs something, I usually roll with it, because I mean, that's the, if they said it by mistake but it works, it's kind of like authentic in a way. Because, they must have got like, caught up in the line and producing words that mean what the line means. So anyway, let's listen to those again.
This is awful. What is she saying? It's awful. I don't have to take this. I'm leaving. This is awful. What is she saying? It's awful. I don't have to take this. I'm leaving.
It's got that squeak in there. It's cute.
This is awful. What is she saying? It's awful. I don't have to stand this. I'm leaving.
I think I lean 55. Oops. But it might be between 55 and 64. I liked 55 because he had that kind of, well, he had that like about to cry kind of tremble, but also that like squeak was really funny. But there was some good stuff in 64, so I think I'll listen to those two again one more time.
This is awful. What is she saying? It's awful. I don't have to take this. I'm leaving. This is awful. What is she saying? It's awful. I don't have to stand this. I'm leaving.
I think I lean 55. 64 is a little more realistic. But 55 is more funny, and I think I want to lean funny here because I think it'll be more cathartic or acceptable for the audience because this is like a very pompous character to see this like pompous character taken down a peg. But if we actually feel like he's really like suffering in a really realistic way, I think that might like make people conflicted about it and not enjoy it. So I think I'm going to lean for making him a bit silly. So I'm going to go with 55. So this character runs out of the room, and then he runs back into the room after a second to say this.
We're not friends anymore. We're not friends anymore. We're not friends anymore. We're not friends anymore.
Okay, it's definitely 65, yes. Yes. Beautiful. And then the character falls down the stairs. So this will be fun. Oh, wait, no, I'm missing one down here. Shit.
We're not friends anymore.
Okay, hold on.
We're not friends anymore. We're not friends anymore.
Oh, shit.
We're not friends anymore.
They're both really good. They're both very similar. I think 56 sounds a bit more like he's about to cry. They're both good. I might just toss those both in and decide that in a little while. Yeah, you can just go in there. They're both preferred. That's one I might put a multi-sound on in FMod. All right. Now we get to pick the fall down the stairs. And it was fun. I actually ran the whole play, like the original text in Russian, through Google Translate to see what it would say about different things, because I've actually been consulting. So when I did my play or my adaptation, basically what I did was I took the script in the public domain and tried to modernize a lot of the phrases so that it would sound a bit more natural. So it was like not making things up, but like Trofimov says throughout the play, like, that's not your business. And I changed all those to like, that's none of your business, because that sounds a bit more natural. And I made sure not to look at any other translation, because those are like, all the other translations I have access to are under copyright. And I didn't want to like accidentally like have the copyrighted phrasing sneak into my brain. But obviously there's going to be, similarities between them because they all come from the same like Russian text. But after I finished my adaptation, when there was ever like a case of something being like weird or ambiguous, or I was like, what does that really mean? I would check the two more modern translations I have access to, and I would check Google Translate. I say modern because the public domain one was done in 1916. So the translation itself is over 100 years old. I went on that ramble to say in the stage direction for this, they say he falls down the stairs with a roar. I don't know anything about Russian. I don't know what that might imply, but to me that implies like it must be he must be shouting or it must be loud or something. So it's like, We'll keep that in mind. Not that we have to be, not that we have to do exactly like stage directions, but you'll notice there is a difference at some point where, like, he does a few that are kind of short, like, and then he kind of gets a bit more long and silly. It's because at that point I was like, no. He falls down the stairs with a roar. So let's see what we got here.
Oh! Oh, God! Oh, God! Oh, God! No!
Oh, he peaked on that one.
No!
That one's definitely out.
Oh! 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 Oh!
You know, that might be a good candidate for a multi-sound. That's too funny. Oh, it's so, like, yeah, I guess slapstick's a bit of a universal thing. Oh, I mean, I even might be partial to that he falls down every single step laboriously. I think for whatever reason in the session I decided I didn't want to do that, but I might change my mind and go back. They're all so similar. But I think we can categorize them into a few different types. I think he's got a few that are very short. That's it. And I think I don't want that because that's not funny enough. So I guess I'll find those and eliminate those. I think those were...
Oh, God! Oh, God! Oh, God!
It's too funny.
No! Oh! 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 Oh!
Okay, so that's 66 through 68. I think I can eliminate. I did not mean to rhyme. I apologize.
Oh!
I told him on purpose to be silly. Like, don't knock him for, like, that's not a realistic depiction of I told him to, like, because, well, the thing is, falling down the stairs is a big fucking deal. Like, you can break bones and shit even if you're a young person. So it's like, I want this to definitely be silly. I don't want there to be any doubt in the audience's mind that he's going to be okay. Yeah, I mean, I've fallen down the stairs too and not, like, severely injured myself. But it's like, if it's being realistic, like, you need to, like, follow up with that. We need to, like, see him recovering or something, but we don't. Like, it's not mentioned ever again. So it needs to be very clearly telegraphed to the player that this is not realistic. In a sense, because there's just almost like a meta agreement in that, if something's portrayed as having consequence, you need to follow up with it with consequences, or you're telling the player. I mean, yeah, the player, the audience, that, like, I don't know, it feels like breaking some kind of contract with the audience. So, and then on the inverse, like, if you do something where you telegraph that is silly like this, you can't then say, like, and they can't spend the rest of the play, like, dealing with the injuries and recovering. Because you sort of, then it makes it very strange and awkward because you, again, broke that contract with the audience. So if you presented it as something silly and then you made it something of consequence, like, the exception that proves the rule is, like, you have a scene like this and then the character's like, oh, by the way, he died. But that in itself is a joke because that's not really dealing with the consequences, because you're not seeing them, like, dealing with really serious recovery for the next 20 minutes. It's like, oh, whoops, they died. What's funny is Chekhov knew of Chekhov's gun during his lifetime. So the Cherry Orchard actually has a joke about Chekhov's gun in it. Sadly, I had to cut it because I had to cut the character. But there's, in the second act, a character handles a loaded gun, and people are like, hey, careful, it doesn't go off. The loaded gun is never fired in the entire play. So to Chekhov being like, look, there's a loaded gun in my play and it didn't go off. I think that's funny. There's another line, I did keep it though, where a character talks about how they went to see a play and another character says, you shouldn't see plays. Don't go see plays. And I think that's really funny too. Anyway. I think part of it will come down to how it looks in the moment. But I'm actually kind of leaning the long, laborious one again.
Oh!
That's so funny. It's mean. I feel bad laughing at it, but it's so funny. But I can't definitively rule them all out, so what I'll probably do is I'm going to stick them all in the preferred folder, and then when I'm putting together the animation for that, I'll just try them out. And...